So it is necessary for us to take a look at the Sunni narration from Ahmad bin Hanbal al-Musnad. And what we're going to be looking at in this particular hadith is we're going to be looking at the death of Abdullah and the prophecy of the Mahdi. And this prophecy is very important. There is some cloud of conspiracy behind this prophecy at this point, but it is important in analyzing the times and recognizing the advent of the Mahdi. It's very important for us to look at these particular signs as they show us with evidence the proof of the appearance of Al-Hujjah, Imam Mahdi. So this is a Sunni narration from Ahmad bin Hanbal al-Musnad, and this hadith is narrated and reported and referenced in a Shia book authored by Ayatollah Muhammad Ali Tabatabai in the 250 Signs, okay, which is a new book. It's not an ancient book, and it's not a hadith book, but rather it is a book of signs and prophecies. And signs and prophecies have to be the order of the day, and they must consume our attention. So sign number 122 under the title of the rulership of Hijaz. Ayatollah Muhammad Ali Tabatabai referenced this hadith back to Musnad Ahmad. So from the Messenger of Allah, the rulership of the Hijaz will be under a man whose name is the name of an animal. When you see him from a distance, you would think he has a lazy eye. And if you get close to him, you do not see anything wrong in his eyes. He will be succeeded by a brother of his named Abdullah. Woe to our followers from him, woe to our followers from him, woe to our followers from him. And the Prophet repeated this 3 times. Give me the good tidings or the good news of his death, and I shall give you the good news of the appearance of the Hujjah, Imam Mahdi. And this is reported to be narrated by Ahmad bin Hanbal in Al-Musnad. Narrated by Ayatollah Muhammad Ali Tabatabai in 250 Signs, sign 122, under the title of the rulership of the Hijaz, who referenced it back to Musnad Ahmad. So it's important to analyze this portion of prophecy. It says that the rulership of the Hijaz, which is modern day Saudi Arabia, will be under a man whose name is the name of an animal. So we associate this prophecy with King Fahd of Saudi Arabia, as we understand that in Arabiya, Fahd means leopard. And so indeed, this is the name of an animal. And when you see him from a distance, you would think that he has a lazy eye. And this was the case with King Fahd. And if you get close to him, you do not see anything wrong in his eyes. Now he will be succeeded by a brother of his named Abdullah. And we know that King Fahd named King Abdullah as his successor. And we know that there was a whole host of realities that surrounded the rule of Abdullah. And these realities that surrounded the rule of Abdullah explain why the Prophet says, woe to our followers or our Shia, literally the members of Ahl Bayt from him. But this prophecy is reflected into the future. So we understand that the implication and the meaning of this coming from the Prophet is even deeper, as we have to understand the hidden realities behind the rule of Abdullah and the recorded descendancy of the Saudi Empire from Banu Hanifa, one of the tribes who was in conflict with the Prophet. And so we understand that King Abdullah passed away January 23rd, 2015 at 90 years old. And according to this prophecy, this was a portent that pointed to the advent of Imam al-Mahdi. And so we also find it written from Abi Basir, who heard from Abu Abdullah, whoever guarantees for me the death of Abdullah, I will guarantee for him the emergence of the Qa'im, Imam Mahdi. Then he said, when Abdullah dies, then the people will not gather or agree upon anyone after him. And we see this prophecy fulfilled with the succession of King Salman, because King Salman removed Mukrin and Naif, and he placed Muhammad bin Salman as the next successor to the throne. Despite the ruling that came down from King Abdullah, which said that no particular faction would be able to usurp succession. And so he also says, when Abdullah dies, the people will not gather or agree on anyone after him. And this is a matter that will not end except for your companion, Imam Mahdi. And the kingdom of years will be over, and it will become the kingdom of months and days. So I asked, will it be prolonged? And he said, no. Al-Bihar al-Anwar, volume 52, and page 21. And so we understand that the decisions to handle the rulership of the kingdom were taken into the hands of one man, and they were forced upon the rest of the kingdom, fulfilling the prophecy about the disagreements after the death of Abdullah. And so we understand from this hadith that the Imam is present and he is aware. It is said that he will appear around the age of 40. And so we also understand that this being the case, that the Imam has been witnessing for 40 years what has taken place in the world. Because Hadith tells us that he will see the world as if it were in the palm of his hand. There are more signs that reveal the presence of the Mahdi, but we begin with this sign. And so it was narrated by Abdullah bin Amr, and he said, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ مَاكَ كَتْبُوَاجَتْ كَزَائِمَا وَرَأَيْتَ الْبُنَّأُ يَعَالُ رُؤُسَ الْجِبَالُ فَعَالَمَ أَنْ أَمْرُ قَدْ أَزْلَكَ. And when you see Mecca with holes pierced through its mountains and its buildings reach the mountaintops, then know that the hour has cast its shadow. Al-Musanaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, Hadith number 124. Open your eyes so you can see. Keeping the signs, watching the times, pushing the line, never recline. Enemies plotting the dark like all of the time. Follow the Torah divine, that's how I'm doing my time. Taking what's mine, niggas be talking but ain't got no spine. Stay on the grind, seeking to find scripts for the mind, peace in the signs. Maybe next year in Jerusalem, all that I got on my mind.
Pass over me.